Welcome to the Relationship Workout for Men podcast. This episode is just a preview of what you'll find in the full Relationship Fitness for Men program. If you're serious about building a stronger, happier relationship, check out relationshipfitness.com to access all episodes, plus tools to assess and improve the quality of your relationship and your very own on-demand and private AI relationship coach. Visit relationshipfitness.com to learn more.
Welcome to Relationship Workout for Men, a podcast dedicated to helping men be intentional in choosing a better partner and being a better partner to the person they choose. Season 23, the Relationship Skilled Alpha Male. I'm here with Stormie and Shawn Andrews. They're the authors of the provocative book, 21 Laws to Keep Your Woman in Check. And we're at episode 1, Navigating Modern Masculinity. In this episode, we're going to discuss the evolving definition of an alpha male in modern relationships and explore how traditional perceptions of masculinity are being redefined to include sensitivity and emotional awareness. So, Stormie, let's start off with you. Let's say, what is the alpha male and how we think of the alpha male in navigating the modern masculinity? What would you say to that?
Yeah, so if I dive into, what is the epitome of the alpha male, let's dive into the historical context. In the traditional alpha male, that's typically, the male who's seen as strong and dominant and controlling. And, why is that? Let's go back in time, right? Because it's typically rooted in these ancient social structures where the value of physical power was important back then, right? We had to protect our village from marauders and all sorts of other things. But we have evolved, but unfortunately, it's been reinforced by cultural norms and media over time, and that's really the definition of the alpha male. And because of that, oftentimes they're expected to be the primary decision maker in the household, and because of that, the alpha male tends to be associated with aggressiveness, lots of competitiveness. And emotional endurance. And because of that emotional endurance, and that's what I've been taught, as a youngster coming up with my dad and the generation that he comes to, it was about emotional endurance. Don't show your emotions. You're a man, be tough, choke it up. What do you want, a button? If you show your emotions, you don't do it, because if you showed emotions, it was viewed as weakness. So, I'm 54 years old, and as a kid coming up and throughout my younger years as an adult, I had felt that if I showed any type of emotion, that was a sign of weakness, and I just couldn't do it or bring myself to do it. I believe I was in my 30s before I cried, and that's a shame, because that was, the vision of being the historical alpha male.
Yeah, I know I had you always had to toughen it up, right? Just there was no place for vulnerability. So Shawn, where does a lot of women like the bad boy, a lot of women like the, that alpha male role. Is there something wrong with an alpha male from the wife's perspective? To some people, that's a good thing.
Well, if I can go back and just expand on something you both said, even with emotion, right? So if you take the emotion out, emotion is not just weakness or sadness or expressing that. Emotion is also in laughter, and it's also in joy and enthusiasm and just overexcitement. So when that dominance or that alpha male is trained to not show emotion, at some point he also takes away the joy and the laughter. So that is something that we know is a problem. We want to change that. We as women, we want a strong man. Of course, we want to feel protected, and we want to feel as if we are, we're in good hands. It's a comfort level there. It comes from maybe the protection that we felt with our fathers or our parents overall. So of course now, even in modern relationships, we do want to still feel secure and safe, but we've learned that you don't have to take away the emotions.
So if I look at the relationship skilled alpha male, are you saying that you can still be an alpha male and show emotions? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Those don't seem to equate to me. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, that's Now that is my perspective, and that's also a shared perspective when women talk. You know, men have a locker room conversation. Women also have the locker room conversation as well. And this is what we say. We want a lot. We want the expressive male. We want the laughter. And actually, it's also said, if a man can make you laugh, he almost has your heart. So you want joy and fun loving. But yes, indeed, we want a full balance.
So, Stormie, does that mean, do you feel comfortable coming home and at the end of the day, for instance, sharing how your day didn't go well? That's expressing a vulnerability. Is that, like, I know I'm not comfortable with that. Is that something that an alpha male should be doing or can do?
Yeah, I believe that's the definition of the modern alpha male, right? So it wasn't something that happened automatically. And it wasn't something that happened easily, because my training told me to go completely against the grain as it relates to that. But here's what I found, right? Where it used to be, if I shared anything at all, and that's a big if, it would be with one of the guys, because only they can understand what I'm going through. And initially, as I started to share, things with Shawn, maybe she didn't understand it, but over a period of time, it allowed our relationship to become stronger, because now what happens, there's an intimacy that's there that would not have been there if I kept everything bottled up, tightened in. And then the fact, if I shared it with my boys, or if I shared it with my friends, right? Well, what good does that do here in the home? Maybe it lets off a little bit of steam, but typically if I'm sharing it there, it turns into the session where, oh yeah, I have the same scenario. There's this complaining session versus I had a tough day and I just want you to hold me. And the fact that she can do it, understanding that that doesn't take away from the fact that I can still be that protector that she so desires.
You know, my wife and I were talking about this, and she said it actually makes the guy more attractive to the woman, to his wife, to if he's dating, to someone he's dating. Somehow he's more attractive if he's more, I don't want to say the word sensitive, but more sharing of emotion rather than more stoic. What do you think about that, Shawn?
I gotta tell you, that's true, because it's honest. We typically live in a world of honest responses, honest behavior. It's not like in the past days or in historical times where we didn't have as much information. So maybe there were a lot of fairy tales in the minds of adults. But now we live in the informational time where we understand, and women understand more than some men think that we do. So you're not just tasked with the idea of living in your own head. You can now share realistic situations because we may offer realistic solutions. And I think that's part of not sharing just with your friends, but now let's share with your partner, your wife. Your long-term relationship is your partner. You share with your partner, and you share it so that you can come up with solutions together. And I think that has been the biggest shift, is that honest communication does make you sexier.
And then it's so the guy becomes more attractive, but the lady or his partner, it needs to make it safe for him to be vulnerable, right, and to be genuine, right? Because I think a lot of men, I would probably put myself in this camp too, because we're trying to not be vulnerable. Our partners don't actually know our true selves, and there's something scary about actually sharing that true self. And then once you start sharing it, your partner has to come back and make it safe for me to share that. Otherwise, I'm going to shut up even more, or shut down even more. Another way of putting it.
True. Then consider, if we were just consider in practice, if we even took away the word vulnerable and just exchange it with honest. Yeah. That means that we start with ourselves and we're honest with ourselves first, and it allows us to communicate honestly with our partners. And so if we make that shift, I think that may take away some of the fear, because it is the truth. And the other side of that is, for both partners, is to not just speak, but the ability to listen. And that's what sometimes men and women do it to each other. We do it individually. It's the listening side, sharing and we show that we care, and then having the ability to listen and accept the outcome. And that's getting over the fear of honesty.
I like to add on to something, which was a side benefit to this. Typically what happens, Shawn brought up, if I have a problem or an issue, I've started to share it. Well, typically in those types of scenarios, I'm narrowly focused. I'm like a laser. I'm focused on the problem. I'm focused on the issue, and that's it, right? I've got to get through it. By having the ability to be vulnerable and share those scenarios with Shawn, she has the ability of looking at more than just this laser focus, because I become blinded to everything else. So she starts popping in different solutions, and maybe I don't want to hear the solutions, right? Because I'm like, hey, can't you see my laser? I'm focused on this. She's like, okay. So she's learned to, okay, let them get through this laser process, but let me plug in these other scenarios that may turn out to be better solutions. And I can tell you this, Vince, normally, at least more times than not, sometimes my laser is the right way to go, but more times than not, it's her insights, having the ability of seeing things on a much broader canvas that turns out to be the magic bullet that I would not have been able to capture on my own.
That happens in my household. I can't tell you how often my wife comes up with a better idea than my laser focused idea.
Yes.
That's not trying to pander to her. That's just,
it is what it is.
Isn't that with everything though? Like a lot of times if we're inside of the jar, and if it is your issue, you're inside of the jar. You only see what's inside of that jar. But someone else on the outside, someone else you trust, normally your wife is whom you trust the most. If it and someone you care about, someone who cares about you, someone who has the ability to have understood you and who has gotten to know you, they could see the issue. So it can go both ways. If there's times that I have a concern or an issue or a problem or a bad day, and I do trust that I can share it with Stormie. And I think that is the thing women, we trust. We want to tell you the whole story because we trust that you're maybe not inside of the jar with us and you can see everything and you can see us.
So I think we're going to wrap up this episode. I think what I took away in terms of the relationship skills is that honest, genuine showing up and it's okay to not be perfect, to just be yourself, that actually makes you more attractive to the person. And it actually brings that person as an ally to help you think outside the box if you're trying to address a challenge or something like that. It's fascinating. I appreciate it. And I think we'll wrap up here, and then I'll see you on the next episode. We're going to talk about the role of humor, which should be a good one because your book is really funny. So I think this will be a fun one to go into. All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening. To listen to all episodes in this season, visit relationshipfitness.com. There, you'll find not only a complete library of episodes, but also aligned playbook articles, tools designed to help you assess, improve, and manage the quality of your relationship, and your very own AI relationship coach to get private, on-demand coaching whenever you need it. Go to relationshipfitness.com to start transforming your relationship today for more fun and less drama.